Okay, well, folks, I'm sorry to torture you. I'm sorry to harass you, but Bernie Sanders has gone full on neocon. Now, this ridiculous war that's happening in Ukraine needs to come to an end. It has to stop. The cost is too high. The bloodshed is too high. The madness and risk, it is too dangerous. You have two global superpowers fighting in this proxy war, and innocent men, women, and children are dying. It has caused economic and political instability around the world. The whole world is on edge. And I think the last thing any of us want to do is wake up one fine morning, see some sort of odd shaped airplane flying in the sky, then dropping a payload, and oh, it hits the ground. Kaboom! Mushroom cloud in the sky, then a wave of fire, and then we are vaporized, thus ending the human species. But Bernie Sanders, I don't know why he's so against ending the war, or either that, being very critical. I want Trump to succeed in these peace talks. I hope everyone at least gets somewhat satisfied with the end results, but chances are no one's going to be happy because that's just how life is. But Bernie, once again, you're saying what now?
I do not want to hear one Republican come to the floor of the Senate and talk about freedom unless that senator has the guts to call out Trump for the lies that he is telling about Putin and the war in Ukraine. Mr. President, it was Russia that started the war, not Ukraine. It is Putin who is the dictator, not Zelensky. This country must not align itself with Putin and authoritarianism. We must fight for democracy all over the world.
Wow. Okay, so let's talk about what's going on here. Trump says Putin treated him with great respect. So let's talk about these peace talks. U.S. President Donald Trump said, in his own words, Russian President Vladimir Putin treated him with great respect during their phone call earlier this month. According to Trump, Putin expressed a clear desire to end the Ukraine conflict and normalize relations between Washington, D.C. and Moscow. Contacts between the two nations, largely non-existent for years, have intensified since Trump was inaugurated on January 20th. A phone call between Trump and Putin on February 12th was followed by high-level Russia-U.S. talks in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia last week. Putin described the discussions as the first step towards normalizing relations, a view Trump echoed on Monday. And this is a campaign promise that Donald Trump wants to follow through on because he made a promise, at least in that infamous town hall with CNN's Caitlin Collins, that he wants people to stop dying. He wants everyone to stop dying. I could agree with that. Yes. Okay. Nothing controversial about it. I hope he's successful because if these talks fail and the war continues on, something tells me somebody's going to do something stupid to escalate the conflicts. Just like, I don't know, a random drone attack, each side accusing the other, targeting Chernobyl. Remember Chernobyl, that power plant? The one that went kaboom, that almost ended humanity? I don't think people realize just how much of a bullet we dodged. And somebody had the big brain idea to go ahead and bomb it. Whoever did that, you're a moron of the highest order. But that's just my opinion. That's just my opinion there, folks. Just my opinion. Tell me how you feel in the comment section below. Oh, yeah, sure. Go ahead. Have a drone strike on the Chernobyl site. What could go wrong? What could possibly go wrong? Before I came here, there was no communication with Russia whatsoever. But then I got here. One of the first calls I made was to President Putin, and we were treated with great respect. They want to end this war, so that's a big thing, Trump said at the press conference following a meeting with French President Emmanuel Macron at the White House. I think it's very much to Russia's benefit to make a deal and go on, and to go on with leading Russia in a very positive way, the U.S. leader added. I mean, that's what I do. I do deals. My whole life is deals. Oh, Jesus Christ, dude. Come on. I know you got an ego, but take it down a notch. And I know when somebody wants to make it and when somebody doesn't. Trump later reinforced his position in a post on Truth Social. I am in serious discussions with President Vladimir Putin of Russia concerning the ending of the war and also major economic development transactions that will take place between the United States and Russia. Talks are proceeding very well! Exclamation point at the end. When asked to comment on Trump's claim of major transactions between Russia and U.S., Putin told Russia One TV journalist Pavel Zurbin on Monday that discussions were indeed taking place. Yes, some of our companies are in contact with each other and are discussing such projects, the Russian leader said. Putin added that Moscow is prepared to work with Washington in developing rare earth mineral deposits. You know what that means? Ukraine's kind of in the middle now. This war is not going to go in Zelensky's favor at all. And Sean Penn, I hate to tell this to you, buddy, but you're never going to get back your Academy Award. Oh, God. Why would you do that? He gave his Academy Award to Zelensky and be like, I will get this back when you win the war. A very dumb thing to do. A very stupid thing to do. Maybe back then in 2022, it looked like, oh, how heroic. Now it's kind of dumb. He'll get it replaced. That's all that matters, right? Continuing on, at the same time, he noted that the rare earth deal that Trump administration is negotiating with Kiev doesn't concern Moscow, as the actual value of Ukraine's mineral deposits remains uncertain. The Russian president said direct communication with Trump, along with meeting with that's happening in Saudi Arabia, have so far been focused on increasing the level of trust between the two countries. According to Putin, Trump acts straightforwardly and without any particular embarrassment. That's a big oof towards Biden. Okay. And as we have talked about on this show, President Joe Biden, as it's now been finally accepted and revealed by the establishment media, that he wasn't functioning at all and that clearly he was having cognitive and mental issues. That's what's Putin mean by any particular embarrassment. Now, Trump can go ahead and say something stupid, whatever, but it can be argued that at least his brain is working far more efficiently than Joe Biden ever was. He goes on to say he's in a unique position. He doesn't just say what he thinks, he says what he wants. That's the privilege of being the leader of one of the big, great powers, Putin added. Maybe that's what's upsetting Senator Bernie Sanders, senator from Vermont. But what I would say to Bernie is, what are your plans then to call for an immediate ceasefire? What are your plans for peace talks? What are your plans in regards towards ending this horrific and brutal war in which we have seen man's inhumanity to man, the horrific brutality of these war crimes, abuses on both sides? I mean, the generational pain will be long lasting and a forever scar for the people. So if you don't have a plan, Bernie Sanders, what is it then? Because it's the same Bernie Sanders who's also talking about taking on the oligarchs, taking on the establishment. You had a chance to do that under Biden, and hell, you had a real good chance to even create something in 2016, and yet you chose not to. I also want to play something else here as well, just for everybody to witness. I know, just a few short seconds. I don't mean for the pain to continue on.
What I would say to Trump supporters are two things. Focus not on what Trump says, but what he does. And what he's going to do is cut programs that you and your families need. Do you really think it's appropriate to cut Medicaid substantially? Those are families, your families may not be able to get the health care that they need. Your mother may not be able to get into the nursing home that she has to get into because Medicaid pays a substantial part of that. We're going to do away with aid to students who want to go to college. Your kids are going to have to go more deeply into debt when we cut back on higher educational programs. So the other thing that I would say is that if you are an honest conservative, you believe in the Constitution of the United States, you do not believe that the richest guy in the history, in modern history, can go around unilaterally cutting programs that were authorized by Congress. So if you're a Trump supporter and you're a working class person, understand that they're going after you. And if you believe in the Constitution and democracy, they're also trying to undermine that.
Okay. He's not wrong, but I would counter to Bernie Sanders is, you know what else sucks? Forever wars that's draining our treasury so that, all Americans, every single one of us, can actually get affordable education, free education, infrastructure that works, ending ridiculous wars. Perhaps maybe Bernie Sanders wasn't paying attention, but Russia is a nuclear power. The United States is a nuclear power. And I think it's in everyone's best interest not to see these two nations or any global nation that has weapons of mass destruction in their arsenal to be at odds with each other or even be involved in any type of proxy wars. Because once those nukes launch, that's it for humanity, folks. That's it. It is over. No great reconstruction. Bernie, what's your plan? How do you end the war? How do we get a permanent ceasefire? What is it? A deal has to be made. But as we all know, all these wars lead to the foundations of the next war. But I wish he had a plan. All he's doing is relying on Trump bad, Trump bad. I get it. But what is your alternative? Because you can't rely on these talking points. If this is it, no one's going to listen.
If you fool me once, it's because I didn't think a guard was needed. If you fool me twice, it's because I didn't learn the lesson, so it bears repeating. If you try the same play 3 times running, it's because you know what's coming, and you didn't come to lead, you came to purposefully be misleading. Democracy is dry, it's been a century bleeding. The husk is gaping open to the sky, out in the field where all the sheep just keep on circling and worrying and bleeding. They're waiting for the shepherd that they've tried to hide their faith in, but he's so appealing. They'd gladly give their fleece. It's such a freeing feeling that even when he leads them to the ledge and starts to urge them on, they're positively beaming. They were told that they were on their way to save democracy, so even as they plummet, they just gloat. They don't consider screaming. And halfway up the cliff, the shepherd's cozy little mittens wrap around the staff of shattered human hopes on which he's leaning. He shows the gentle grin that used to stir your inner spark, and he says, "Not me, us," as he gestures to the oligarchs. He knows that if he runs, they're going to stop him like a stolen car. And he'll easily surrender because it bought a lot of time for laying mines in all the grassroots. Suddenly, the tiniest of movements gets you blown apart. Suddenly, you're in a play that's set on an election day and voting for the fire, unaware you're playing Joan of Arc. Suddenly, the shepherd pulls the rug and slips a hood across your clueless mug, and everything goes zero dark. I'm gonna warn you once more before it's 2024 and you fuck around and find out who your heroes are. To take a step back from the herd, and you'll learn that you can spot who all the shearers are. If you really want to know the product that they're selling, I can take you where the mirrors are. If you think your voice is finally ready, I can tell you where the lyrics are. I hid them in a box I had to bury neath the cobble when they carpet bombed the promenade and raided all the street bazaars. Now all we've got's the marketplace, and you're too broke to even bother asking what the options for your treatment are. Suddenly, the raw debris of homeless human dignity will find it has 100 teeth for every badge and sweeper's arm. Suddenly, they speak in solidarity and each is armed. Suddenly, the sheep can see the shepherd for his truest form and all pitch in at once to help him buy the farm. And now it's zero dark, and all is calm and peaceful save the distant wail of sirens that approach beside the flames of dawn. Suddenly, the carrot's just a string that's on a stick, and all your movements make you sick because the prize is gone. Now we could go and flee into the forest low and meek, or we can exercise our right to feast and go and graze on Biden's lawn. Because he's been sowing seeds that seep a toxin out to sap a bit from each of us and keep on leaching decades after Biden's gone. So regardless who they summon out of hell to come and do the job, it will not feel like Biden's gone. But in that time of hopelessness, you cannot trust the shepherd when he once again comes asking you to humor him his siren song. And it's cute that you can innocently, honestly assume that's just a symptom of a system that was wired wrong, and not the standard feature, basic function, primary objective of a mass hypnosis firebomb. You don't need to know the words to cry along. Someday it'll hit you like an officer who pistol whipped their ride along. broke his jaw and kept his job and kept it moving right along. That voting isn't red or blue or black or white or right or wrong. Voting's like a firing squad where you can choose the firearm. It's slow extinction by and large. It's Super Tuesday supercharged. It's all your futures, roots and all, just tossed out on a garbage barge. It's everybody dropping out to push the biggest oligarch. It's everybody voting fire, registered as Joan of Arc.